All right, soccer freaks. This is ATL On Fire, the podcast. We're going to be talking all things Atlanta United Football Club. So sit back, buckle up, and enjoy. All right, what next?
Well, I say as was it Chris Berman used to say in the old Sports Center?
Chris Berman.
He said, "Let's go to the clip.
Let's go to the clip.
Videotape."
So what minute do you want me to go to in this?
All right.
This
it's at the 1 minute mark on the YouTube highlights. So just to set the play for you. First of all, I would say in the lead up to this, which is not in this clip at all, there is a play that I wanted to talk about where New York City FC is in a real dangerous spot at the top of the box. Sosa has dropped where he's actually in a line with the back two, Franco and Robinson. So in many ways, it's exactly a three-man back line that we've been playing the whole time with three center backs. But the New York City FC player cuts across the middle. And how many times on this podcast this year have you heard us talk about the problem with the back three is nobody knows who is supposed to step, and it takes too long. They never step, and the guy gets the shot off or the play or whatever. And just prior to this clip, what happens is that the guy's coming across just like in all those other plays. But Sosa's a midfielder, right? Whereas Franco and Robinson are center backs. And it was so obvious that they all knew that Sosa was the one who's supposed to step up. He steps up immediately. They never get a shot or a pass off, and it's completely closed down.
So that's one of the advantages to the four in the back is that people kind of understand what space they need to eat up.
Right.
Yeah.
So
and who they need to mark and close down.
So then 30 seconds later, what you're going to see on this clip, Maxi Morales is at the top of the 30 yards. He's trying to send the ball. He does send the ball into the box. It's pretty aimless. Atlanta United has 6 players back. Compared to only 4 attackers for New York FC. It's a pretty innocuous situation. We have it well defended. But what you're going to see here for those on the podcast, Morales is right sort of in the middle of the field. He plays the ball. Atlanta United clear it out, right? And in the process, he makes a run from 30 yards out. And Bello, who's on the left back, he's the guy. He's going to run about 15, 20 yards right in front of Bello. Bello never sees him. Bello has nobody else to mark. And Morales runs right onto the ball in our box. I mean, it's the epitome of not being alert to the danger.
Epitome of ball watching.
Yeah.
He's got a guy that he's supposed to be marking on his left shoulder. And if you all want to watch the YouTube video highlights on YouTube, it's at minute 104. Bello literally does not recognize the guy he's supposed to be marking. So here it is. Slowly develops. Now, to be fair, that was a little different. No, that was a little different, right? That wasn't Bello's issue there, was it?
Yes, it was absolutely Bello's issue, right? Because Morales makes a run from 30 yards. He's not Bello's guy, he's a center midfielder guy, right? But in this system, nobody is asking the center midfielder to track that run, right? Somebody has to realize that there's a run and be aware of it. And of course, Morales is famous for his late runs into the box, so you have to be aware of that. And Bello is just absolutely ball watching. He's got no responsibility because his guy never moves.
Right there.
Right? And he never comes over to be alert to the danger. The ball falls right to Morales. And if Morales was 3 years younger, he's now like 35 or whatever, 36. 3 years younger, he first times it for a goal. He just tries to take an extra touch and be cute, and he gets caught.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at this clip, how relaxed Bello is and not seeing him run through the center of the box there. Yep. Yeah. That's it. All right. What next?
So, as far as the run of the play, I mean, New York City FC opened up on the front foot. I thought after the first 5 minutes, we really got a hold of the game, and we were the better team. Didn't really have too many chances, but we were the better team for most of the first half. And then it was really only until the last 10 minutes that New York City really took control again. And I think the play that I want to go to is at 2:04 on the YouTube highlights. It's the very last play of the first half. There's a corner kick. And one of the things, Castellanos, the Argentinian, he was the MLS Player of the Year, the leading scorer for New York City FC, right? And one of the things I went back and looked at after you'll see in a minute is that he has this real natural tendency that when there's a ball served in, he kind of lays off. Sometimes he drops a little bit back towards the penalty spot. Sometimes he drops a little bit back wide. But, a lot of classic strikers dart across the box, and he tends to let everybody go to the ball, and he hangs back. And you'll see that in this corner kick, we are playing a zonal marking, right? Nobody is responsible per se for marking Castellanos. So it ends up with Bello being 2v1. There's a cross across the box. Castellano peels back towards the penalty spot, and they leave the reigning MVP, MLS Player of the Year, leading scorer in the MLS, wide open.
Well, I mean, just looking at this freeze frame for the YouTube watchers, he's the nearest player in the bottom right of the screen here, and no one's even marking him here. Nobody is, no one is taking care of this guy who is the Joseph Martinez of their team.
So one of the things that's interesting before you play the clip is that, New York City FC wins a lot at home. They score a lot of goals on free kicks at home. There's a lot of free kicks because it's tight. People can get tackles in. It's a small field, so most free kicks are in a dangerous spot, right? So everybody knew coming into this game that it was likely to come down to free kicks. Pineda talked about how it was likely to come down to free kicks, and they had trained it or whatever. Yeah. How you could come up with a zonal marking system that doesn't account at all for anybody being responsible for Castellanos is beyond me.
Should I hit play?
Play.
Here we go. Peels off, heads it. Not too threatening.
Yeah, very not threatening. They don't score on that play at all, but how is he that wide open?
Yeah, I mean, that's the issue.
It should have been warning sign, warning sign, warning sign, because, if you go to the second half, right, you'll see in the first goal on the clip, it's exactly the same thing that happens on the goal. Castellanos, there's a corner kick. New York City plays short, which is a little cheeky. They play back to the guy who took the corner kick for a cross. All Castellano does is sort of stop and peel off, a little bit to the back post, and he is wide open. I mean, he has a whole side of the 6-yard box to himself.
To be honest, you say he peels off. I don't even know that he peeled off. He just was unmarked.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, let's go to it here for the YouTube watchers. The unmarked nature of him in this play. Hold on. Where do I have that in the...
it's the next one. You get to the corner.
Has to be the next play here.
Yeah.
After they play it wide here.
You got to keep it going.
Yeah.
There it is.
All right.
You got it. Yep.
Here it is. So they play a short corner.
Yep.
Right?
And Atlanta United has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players in the box, and they are all on the ball side, meaning they are all, if you draw a line from the penalty spot straight through the center of the goal, half the field, left and right side of the field, every single one of the Atlanta United players is on the side of the field where the corner is being taken. And all Castellanos does is drift to the other side, and he's wide open.
Here we go. YouTube watchers. Yeah, he does drift. Awkward shot that he mishits. Gets it on the bottom part of his side volley boot. Hits it into the ground. Takes a huge bounce about I don't know, 20 feet in the air, right in the far
And
post.
before you played, you play it again. Just before that, you'll see that not only when he's making the volley, not only is he wide open, but then everybody, because nobody was responsible for coming him, everybody blitzes across the penalty spot to try and go track him. And if he mishits it at all back to the middle of the goal, everybody in New York City FC is wide open. Freeze it. Right? Yeah. Everybody in New York City FC, 1, 2, 3, 4 could have scored on the back post.
There's Bello with big eyes staring it down as it goes in the far post, but there are 4 players surrounding George Bello.
And if you look at the Atlanta United players' night now, 1, 2, 3, 4 of them who are absolutely nobody's within 3 yards goal side of any New York City FC player. I mean, that is the definition of shambolic set piece marking.
Yep. Look at this, people. Dave, anything else to say? We're going to move on.
Well, I bring back up, I think I talked about it at some point in the podcast. Benitez, the old, it was the Liverpool coach, and he's been around a lot of different teams. But, he was asked when he was the Liverpool coach, about his zonal marking off of defensively off corners. And he said, zonal marking is much, the most superior. And he talked about it for 5 minutes. And then the reporter said, but you've given up the highest percentage of goals off of corner kicks of any team in the Premier League. And he thought about it for a second. He said, "Oh yeah, but the zonal marking is so high, so bad, whatever." Yeah.
No money ball back then.
Oh my goodness!
So I think I need a refill on wine if I'm going to keep talking about this playoff game.
Right, and I should mention as we're taking this, pause to do that. Hopefully, y'all can hear that the fire is crackling behind us.
It feels good.
Feels good to actually have a fire. With global warming...
It's only Wednesday, but it's been a long week, and it does feel nice.
We might have to rename the podcast something like, air-conditioned ATL or something, because with global warming, we're never going to be able to have a fire during MLS season.
I know. All right, we're heading in. We just started the second half. Right out of the gates, we get scored on. Dagger. Didn't feel like we left the locker room at this point. Some people are still in the locker room.
Yeah.
Araujo particularly.
Yeah. It wasn't good. And actually, in the build up to the second goal, there's a moment where first Lennon and then Bello are so tucked in unnecessarily, which means they can't get out to defend and win back possession. And it means that New York City FC can play, so much for so much longer in our end without anybody having any chance to challenge.
Yeah.
So
it didn't take them long to get their second goal either,
no.
Right?
No.
That was in the 48th minute they scored, right? Yes.
The second goal is at 51:50.
No, the first goal was 48. The second was
51:50.
Okay.
And on this corner kick,
only 3 or 4 minutes later, they score.
On this corner kick, as you'll pull up the clip, I'll describe it for the viewers before or not on YouTube.
What minute do I want to go to here?
It should be just the next one. I don't actually. But while you pull it up, I'll describe it too. So there's a corner kick, and Maxi Morales does a weird thing, right? He goes right to the very corner of the 18. That's the top corner of the 18, which is a weird place to stand on a corner, right? Because, the ball's never going to go there, right? So it is very clear that he is doing some kind of a design free kick play, right? And it's actually interesting. You can't see it on the highlight clip, but if I went back and looked at the game. So Martinez on our corners plays defensively as the front guy, in front of their zonal marking. He's the guy who's, the first, line of defense to clear the ball. And he's standing there talking to Moreno and probably one other player. I think maybe it's Franco. And all 3 of them are pointing at Morales like, wait a second, what's he doing up there? And they're all trying to decide. It's so crazy. This is their system, right? They're all trying to decide, do I leave the zonal marking system that I've been taught, right, that we have to play, or do I go out there and defend Morales?
The obvious one-on-one mismatch.
Well, yeah, so he's
right?
one of the best players in the league for years, and he's one of their leading scorers, and clearly everybody could tell that he was there for a reason, that it was a weird place to be standing. They're all pointing to them. And in the end, what they decide is they wave to Barco and they say, hey, you come back and mark him. Okay.
And Barco comes back and fakes the whole
Well,
thing.
he comes back and he stands next to them.
He fakes it.
And then as soon as the ball is played,
because he shouldn't have been, to Barco's credit, shouldn't have been the one defending him, but
right.
when he came back, he made the illusion that he was going to mark him.
So as soon as the ball is played, the set pace, the way that works is they play short. There's a guy coming, right to the guy who's taking the corner kick, and his job is to draw people in and lay it back to Morales for a shot. That's their set play, right? As soon as they play short, right, Barco is like, oh, they played the corner. I'm going off for a counterattack. He takes off to go up the field and leaves Morales wide open.
And so here it is. Here's the guy taking the corner. He sees Morales, 20 yards right in front of him, and just drops it back to him. Barco comes back, pretends to mark him, and then runs up the field. And the rest is history. Near post shot off the bar. Header into the goal.
Guzan's going to make a terrific save.
Yeah, he does get
it goes off the crossbar.
He gets a hand on this, doesn't he?
Yeah, he makes a phenomenal save. It goes off the crossbar, and then we give up, the ensuing play. And again, you think zonal marking. Nobody, somebody could have gotten there and been first and cleared it out off of the crossbar. But I don't really blame him that much. I mean, the key part of this play is you gave Morales a wide open shot from about 15 yards.
Yeah. So here it is for the YouTube watchers. Corner kick, plays it back to him. Barco, at this point, just runs up the field. Great crack, near post. Good hand from Goose, but off the bar.
And again, on both of the corner kicks that they scored on, after they left the most dangerous player wide open, because they have this zonal marking, once they leave the most dangerous guy, everybody sees the danger and everybody reacts to it. Like on this play, 4 players run out to Morales. And that's part of the reason why Callens, or whatever his name is, who scores the goal, that's part of the reason why he's wide open in the 6-yard just to nod the header back in, is because so many players went out to address Morales. So it's a double whammy. Not only did you fail to have the most dangerous guy marked up, but then because he wasn't marked up, there's a scramble which causes everybody else to be out. And we pointed it out on the previous clip when Castellanos scored. I mean, he scored it directly. It didn't go in. But if it hadn't gone in directly, everybody was wide open because so many people were panicked that Castellanos was open. I mean, it's just shambolic. And going into this game, knowing that the most important thing was going to come down to free kicks, that's the best that we could do. That's all I got to say about it.
That's all I got to say about that.